So Izabella, I want to start with you. So Izabella is the author of a New York Times bestseller, and it's on the thyroid. It's called Thyroid Root Cause. But Izabella, you pretty much talk about the gut all the way through the book. So can maybe you explain why you got so off topic on your book?
So my big thing is looking at the underlying root cause of Hashimoto's, which is the primary reason for most thyroid conditions.
Oh, sorry.
So looking at Dr. Alessio Fasano's work, Dr. Alessio Fasano has found that there are three things that need to be present in every autoimmune condition, and that's going to be the genetic predisposition, the right kind of triggers, like Dr. Jill talked about, and then the third piece of the puzzle is intestinal permeability. And so my personal experience with Hashimoto's was that I was diagnosed myself in 2009. Prior to that, I was never interested in the thyroid. And one of the things that happened before I had Hashimoto's is that I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. And so I found that with myself, in reversing the condition, I had to really address my gut first. And then I found that time and time again with clients over and over again. So, whether it's dysbiosis, different types of parasitic infections, food sensitivities, nutrient depletions, different things can contribute to the intestinal permeability. And oftentimes, really focusing on that is going to help a person with thyroid symptoms eliminate those thyroid symptoms, reduce thyroid antibodies, and in some cases, save their thyroid gland.
That's awesome. And as a doctor of pharmacy, I'd just love to know what role you see pharmacists in general playing in this medical evolution, because we've got coaches, we've got MDs, we've got all kinds of other providers here. As a pharmacist, I know that there's a yearning from some of them to get involved. How do you see that as sort of a leader in this space?
James, that's a wonderful question. And I think if we're going to make a big change in functional medicine and natural medicine, we all need to come together and work at the top of our practice, work at the top of our scope. And so pharmacists have so many different opportunities to address patient care. So functional trained pharmacists can work as consultants like I do, or if they're working in a pharmacy setting, they can start looking at nutrient depletions, drug-induced nutrient depletions. They can start recommending nutrition therapy to their patients that's well within the scope of practice of pharmacy. And some other pharmacists, may have advanced training and they may be able to look at interpreting some functional medicine tests as well as setting up treatment plans. So definitely for any pharmacists listening, I highly encourage you to get involved because we need you out here and we need the help.
Awesome. Steve, if I can just ask you a question. We've had a lot of different perspectives. If you want to grab the mic there. We've had a lot of different perspectives here on the panel, and you sort of started as an engineer, and the gut is sort of a system. From an engineer's point of view, how do we really scale up the treatment of root cause resolution in the gut?
Yeah, so as this amazing, talented speaker lineup here said, the body is just so made up of all these different systems, and they're all interacting. And functional medicine is making, I think, leaps forward in taking this into consideration. And obviously, we know that traditional medicine is not sort of respecting these interplay of systems. And so I think we can make even some more leaps forward if we continue to think about the systems theory of how things work together. And if we just sort of prioritize allowing each system to do sort of its basic function. So for instance, the mind essentially just basically being relaxed. For instance, the stomach basically just being able to make stomach acid. So if the mind is relaxed and there's still no stomach acid, betaine HCl, pancreatic sufficiency with enzymes, things like that. If we can just allow each system, even the adrenal system, maybe just some nutraceuticals or something, together we can really, I think, make the systems work in concert much faster. And functional medicine, I think, can be simplified through that perspective. And then the advanced testing that we all love, that I love, can really allow us to make much faster healing profiles. And I think the complexity of cases will come down if we kind of take into account all these different variables and just try to get the minimum effective dose for each system.
I mean, you're a real technologist as well as everything else you're doing. Is there a role that technology can play in scaling some of the obvious things that have to come first, so that, you know, there's only so many Jills, right? And we're trying to scale that up too, but we need, you know, it seems like in your programs, some of the work can be done with people at home, maybe working with a coach, but, you know, not really in need of sort of the high touch, high test medicine.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here, that patient empowerment and a return to body, as Marc was talking about, a return to responsibility of individual is where this is all going. And so the experts on stage here, the experts in the room, you guys are all book solid. And the people coming up are following in your wings. But it's all coming down to personal responsibility. And I think that's where the internet is changing the game. We can now empower people to be their own somewhat stewards, because grandma used to have a medicine cabinet, and it was only 60 years ago that the doctor got called when you'd tried every remedy in the family and now your loved one was literally dying. And so that worked, I mean, decently well. And so I think that through the different algorithms that were the tech companies in the room, the blogs, the different websites, just empowering people to take responsibility, we can move this trend big time. And then when you hit the lupuses, when you hit the IBDs, when the damage that accumulated over many, many years, that's when, you know, these experts, I think, they're never gonna be replaced. We're always gonna need them. But I think we're on a very, very amazing inflection point right now where people are actually seeing that they are now responsible again, that they cannot outsource their medical idea. They are the CEO of their experience. And so I'm really hoping that's what the trend continues, and I love things like this because of it.
Awesome. You know, one of the things we're seeing, and maybe I could ask this to Jill as the first question, is we've seen starting to happen, more and more functional doctors work with coaches, and it was cool having you and Marc back to back, and that's been a theme throughout the forum. You know, but now we're starting to see psychiatrists have a coach, because everyone's realizing all of these specialists need to get in touch with the food and the mind-body, because it's having such a profound connect. What do you see as sort of some of the most emerging, and Marc maybe can answer this too, teams of practitioners capable of really doing root cause in teamwork? What are some of the combinations of practitioners you see, either from a coaching point of view or from a functional medicine point of view, of how this is all coming together?
So important. In my clinical practice, I have 2 nutritionists. One is here tonight, and I have a health coach who's here tonight. And I plan on hiring a PA or a nurse practitioner in the future. And I have a massage therapist. So these pieces are so critical. And if you think about it, actually massage could be the most critical because it helps the relaxation response. So I think that most new functional medicine doctors and practices really have to have those people surrounding them. For example, if I'm talking to a patient and say, you know what, we have to make these changes to your diet, it's overwhelming. And I can give them a paper handout and I can give them the basics, but they need someone to go shopping with them and look at labels and do these practical things, and I don't have the time to do that, but I have great people who can help me with that.
Marc, you have a massive coaching network. Where are people finding jobs nowadays?
Well, you know, true it is that the medical profession is starting to open up to this concept of coaching. What I particularly take note of is that we, like the collective we've kind of been rough on our medical doctors. And what I mean is, on the one hand, we elevate them and we put them on a pedestal, but then we expect them to fix everything. We can have this awful diet and this awful lifestyle, and you end up in a hospital, and if the doctor doesn't fix you, you sue them. And we've kind of been abusing our doctors, wanting them to know everything. And I think we're in a time now where we're able to let the doctors do what they do best. And now you can outsource a little bit in your own office, so all the weight doesn't fall on your shoulders. And what Steve was saying, that we're starting to spread the responsibility, especially back to the person, back to the patient, to let them be the general manager of their own experience. And that, to me, is reflected in a practice where, okay, and now you're outsourcing to other people within your practice. I just think it helps the doctors who are the leaders in the field right now. It puts them just in a more comfortable position to do what you do best.
Awesome. Say, you started us off tonight. Maybe I can have you have the last word here. You know, you are fixated on all these studies and seeing, you know, this big trend. Based on the way things are going, what would you expect to be the next things that we learn about this? Like, what do you think is coming based off what you've seen in the trajectory?
Well, I mean, just the sheer volume of research available now to validate, you know, ancient medicine. And certainly I spoke a little bit to the sort of complementarity now that exists between the logos and the mythos. And really, you know, at one point we lived, of course, in a pre-scientific era. And at some point, the logos, along with the patriarchal model, started to try to devour its very origin, the mother, right? So this sort of mythos is now coming back, but in a way that now is so powerful. Like turmeric is a goddess in the Ayurvedic tradition. And I spent a few months indexing all the research on Medline on it. And by the end of my project, it was clear that it's an embodiment of intelligence and has 170 different ways that it modulates pathways in the body, like this many-armed goddess kind of image. And it just spoke to me that this is an embodiment of compassion. And you know, it's not pseudoscience anymore to say that on some basic level, because it basically, in my project, 700 diseases were shown to benefit from it. So that's what I'm seeing is I used to be sort of like hippie, like let's go back to the past, live in the woods and poor internet access and have to use communal toilets and all this stuff. But you know, I love the idea, but we're integrating into this new synergy of it's a new phase, and it is part of the zeitgeist. It's very embodied. People are feeling it, and the functional medical movement is really a very powerful part of that. So, you know, again, using technology in the way you are tonight, the internet, and you know, just this whole vibe is very much a part of that. So.
Thank you, Sayah. Well, look, everyone, there is a lot of people watching at home. You probably don't know this if you're sitting here, but thanks to our community and Sayah's community and others, we have almost 10,000 doctors watching live, which is really exciting. You know, I don't know if you feel it, but I really feel like 2016, things are moving forward. People want to work in jobs that they love. People want to be aligned with the kind of world they want to see. We're seeing a massive acceleration in this, and it's very exciting to see. So can we have a big round of applause for everyone who spoke this evening?
Thanks so much for watching, and for more great clips like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've created a special free video just for you. It's called the 5 Steps to Becoming a Leader in Your Wellness Community, and it'll give you some of the starting points on how to position yourself as the leader in your zip code of your health community. All you have to do is click on the link below.